Humayun, how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Brandon, great to have you here. Thank you for inviting me, and pleasure to be here.
Of course. How's your day going? How's your week going?
It's all the lockdowns, right? In the UK, we have quite a severe lockdown at the moment, not like some other countries, but yeah, I think gives me more time to do some more work.
You guys are still locked down.
Yeah, it's quite a serious lockdown here.
Okay.
It's yeah, because we had infection rates go up like crazy. So
Okay. Yeah. I was talking to another gal that was on the podcast a couple weeks ago. She was saying the same thing. We actually here in Colombia, we just lifted most of the restrictions. So it feels very normal. But it
nice.
sucks but when I hear about the UK, it kind of sucks because I'm just like, God, why are people still in lockdown? Like we got vaccines coming out and people, it's like curving, it's getting a little bit better. And I don't know, it just feels weird. I hate being able to go out and be social and do things while there's a group of people, they're just kind of stuck at home.
I think the wave probably was the reason it's still in lockdown is because people started going out too early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think that's what was going on in the UK?
Yeah, I don't think we did a proper lockdown. If we had done a proper lockdown right from the beginning, we wouldn't be going through this.
Gotcha. Yeah, hopefully that gets sorted pretty soon.
Yeah, hopefully with vaccine coming through, that should improve.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, Humayun, tell me a little bit about yourself and your backgrounds. Like, what did you do before this? How did you get into this space? So that people, listening to the episode can get a bit of an idea of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so background is computer science. I've been in the UK for 20 years, and I've been working, well, quite interestingly, in two different spaces. So one of my passions is technology and AI. So I was working with technology gaming companies to develop some AI-based games. And on the other side, commercially, I'm a commodities trader. So
Mm-hmm.
physical commodities, paper commodities, trading, algorithmic trading, so all of that. So, but my kind of AI background involves, I was part of DeepMind, which is a company which Google acquired 5 years ago now, and it's one of the kind of most mentioned and most dynamic AI-based companies. So I was first investor in it. I was involved in the commercialization of it. So that's my technology side, and then I've been doing commodity trading, and in terms of algorithmic trading, building commodity futures with London Metal Exchange, working with CME. So that's my two backgrounds. So what we kind of yeah, it's an interesting mix, but I have
Very
passion
interesting
for
mix.
technology, but my day job is commodity trading, was commodity trading.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is a very interesting mix, the whole AI thing and then physical commodities trading. Or what is it, physical commodities, or was it
No, physical, paper,
okay.
digital commodities. I mean, any kind of commodities, the principles kind of are similar. So,
Mm-hmm.
which is, as you will see, I mean, which is quite interesting in what we're doing in Fetch, because it kind of ties in.
What type of commodities, like corn and coffee and
Yeah, corn, coffee, steel. Steel is one of the biggest one. Iron ore,
mm-hmm.
Aluminium, copper, gold, silver. All of these commodities. These days, the more technology-based commodities. So, for example, tantalite. Tantalum is a product you use in like mobile phones,
Mm-hmm.
or cobalt or things like that you use in batteries. So that's yeah. So any and all types of commodities.
Okay, very cool. What got you interested in wanting to do that? Was it just um, the the awesomeness of the markets, how they change and how it's so fast paced, and or was it the ability to combine something like AI with markets and kind of gets where you are now?
Well, I guess the start is not with AI as such in mind. It's just looking at a business and saying, okay, is there money to be made in the business?
Hmm.
Could you make the money? Is the market liquid enough that either if it's not liquid, how do you make money? If it's liquid, how do you make money? So mostly, when you have an illiquid market, the profitability is quite interesting
Hmm.
because the market hasn't got the price discovery mechanisms, and you could achieve some good profitable trades. But when you look at things getting commoditized, then you want a very open pricing system. And you also, the reason why people trade commodities is you can actually exit quite easily because you have liquidity around it. So yeah, so there's quite some interesting dynamics, and I've always been kind of interested in bringing technology to that space because it's such an old sector. It's still in
Hmm.
19th century. Some of the commodities are still sitting there in very old-fashioned manner. Even if you look at the metal exchanges, they have still got a ring where people, kind of buy and sell. I mean, it's just still in like 19th century or something.
Right.
So my passion has been to bring it more and more towards the new technology, new space, and you can see that we saw this in GameStop, for example. We saw that in Dogecoin, we saw that in
Hmm.
silver. So that's the kind of, so now you think about commodities where people haven't changed for maybe 50 years, 60 years, and they're trading in the old-fashioned way, and they have this whole huge overhead and everything else. So yeah, just to reduce friction. So my ultimate objective here is to reduce friction, reduce the middleman, get
Hmm.
rid of the aggregators or the middleman. I myself was a middleman, but I can see that middleman causes friction, and technology is
Hmm.
developed enough that we don't need it.
Oh yeah, tons of friction, which is, why, the space, blockchain, being able to supplant that in a lot of ways and solve that issue is really important. And it's really cool too, because I've never really had a conversation with a commodities trader. At least I don't think I have. So it's kind of cool having this conversation. And then, I bet you sit around all day, like what's going on when you see like Dogecoin of all things going up and GameStop going up, like things that are, shouldn't have that much value. It's got to be kind of interesting to you from a technical side of it, right?
Yeah, I think what's quite interesting is the social factor, because technology, and I think that is quite a kind of good into Fetch, because that's exactly what's happening. So why do we have illiquid markets, right? When we have
Hmm.
illiquid markets, when there is no communication between the parties who are trading with each other. So when you have an exchange sitting in the middle, then you have a brokers sitting around it, and then you have a buyer and a seller. They are completely disconnected,
Hmm.
right? So now, how do you find each other to communicate with each other what you're going to do? So the exchange sits in the middle, and takes the benefit, right? The brokers who already know what you want, who know what the other party wants, then they can actually take the benefit out of it. Now, what happened with GameStop, or what is happening with everything we're doing, um, social media, which is going crazy, and the connectivity is improving. You could do campaigns, you could connect peer to peer, and now the dynamics completely change because now you've gotten rid of the middleman. Now you're trading
Hmm.
with each other. Now you can say, okay, this is what happened with GameStop. We're going to buy. I mean, and you can communicate with people who want to buy that same commodity, uh, instrument, share, equity, whatever. So, so the key here is connectivity. Now you've connected these parties together, and that is very impactful. So if you look at history, we used to send letters. We then started having a phone. So the phone call would change everything. So now you don't have to wait for days.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I caught most of that. My internet just kept going out. It's never happened in my office before. Um, no, that stuff is really interesting too. And how are you guys taking that and, applying that methodology to what you guys are doing now with Fetch.ai?
Yeah. So I think it kind of ties in with my point about connectivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you have is um, whatever you want to do, you want reduce the friction by improving connectivity. So if you now look at what the market does, I'm just going to give you some example. For example, let's look at hotel travel agent, online travel agents.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at aggregators, people who aggregate things and sell to the from the consumer uh, and connect the supplier. They do it. They sit in the middle, and you can't directly connect possibly in one go with your supplier, and the consumer don't connect. So what does Fetch do? Fetch is enabling that connectivity. We're saying peer-to-peer connectivity is what we need. And I think that's becoming very natural these days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we're doing it via agent-based systems. So if you think about a website, and if you think about searching for something, you go on to a central point, which is Google. Now, you
Mm-hmm.
go on Google and you search for it, and then you get connected. But if you know you need a hotel room, you'll go to, let's say, Expedia.com, Booking.com, and you get connected to the hotel. My question is the time right to now remove that middle piece and be able to search for who you need to connect to directly? And that's what Fetch is building. So Fetch is building the infrastructure which enables you to dynamically connect peer to peer based on an agent-based system.
Got it.
That's what Fetch is.
Okay, got it. Do you guys have any existing use cases for this, P2P connectivity that you guys are trying to set up?
So we have showcased several things. So we've showcased a hospitality model which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I'm just explaining to you. If you have hotels who want to sell their hotel room, and you have a consumer who wants to buy the hotel room, at this point in time, you have to go through an aggregator which charges you 15%, 20%, whatever. There is no need for it. And our system enables you to do is connect directly the consumer with the supplier. So that we have shown that use case in hotels. We're doing that. Another example is for Uber. What Uber
Mm-hmm.
does is exactly the same. It takes a user or consumer who wants a taxi, and it connects them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what Fetch enables you to do is get rid of the middleman and connects you directly. So you can do transaction, you can pay, you can find each other, you can connect with each other, and you can carry out the transaction, and you can monitor the journey. For example, you have the same facility, but without that aggregator in the middle, and it's more intelligent because the AI machine learning is on the edge with the agent, so it can be much more responsive to your requirements, to your preferences, and that's a model change. It'll change the whole model.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the benefits of doing so for the end user or customer? Is it just that it makes it in some use cases. I guess everyone's different, but cheaper or faster or more reliable, or a combination of that. Like, what are
Yeah,
some of those benefits?
yeah. So the benefits are, you know, you don't have to go to the aggregators. So the supplier and the consumer both save. There's 15-20% which aggregators charge. So that's gone.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, to run an agent, it's a fraction of this is a SaaS model example. We're calling it an agent model, so you can deploy it. It's, let's say, to book a hotel, it would cost you 10 cents or something. You're not paying 15% to the aggregator. So that's the cost benefit. The other benefit is it can be much easier. Your agent is yours. It sits on your phone. Data protection data, and you can connect without friction, and you can connect directly to the supplier, which is what the model initially we started when the
Hmm.
websites started. When the web came along, Web 2.0, the whole idea was that e-commerce will enable you to connect directly with the supplier, but that kind of disappeared because now we had these aggregators, and the reason is the technology wasn't right for active web pages, right? So if you look at what agents are, they are active, effectively, they're active web pages.
Gotcha. From the AI side of things, is it like an in-house built AI, or is there another company that you've taken some of the bones from, or like how does that work? Because I'm not as knowledgeable about that part.
Yeah, AI is, okay, let me define what and how people use AI and what actually AI.
Sure.
So there are two sides of things. So AI is, there is narrow AI and there is a bit broader AI.
Hmm.
Now, AI actually is where it's artificial intelligence, but most of the time when you hear AI, it's actually machine learning. So what's the difference? So machine learning is when you have data and you learn correlations, you learn different things from it, and you analyze it. What is AI is actually a decision making. So when an agent can make a decision for you, or you enable that agent to make a decision for you, then that's artificial intelligence. But if you take a lot of data and you learn from that data, that's machine learning. That's a very simplistic way of putting it. So what we
Hmm.
have is both. So if an agent who belongs to you and you have to train the agent will get its own AI. So we're not carrying the whole AI.
Hmm.
You are carrying the AI within your agent, and that agent belongs to you. So you can teach the agent your preferences. You can teach the agent what it's learned from the past. So when you do transaction, it learns from it. At the moment, all this data goes to a centralized entity, and they just collectively learn from it. But what we're proposing is something different. Now, if all these agents are connected, they can also learn from each other. We have a product suite called Co-Learn, which is collective learning. And all these agents can also use that to learn from each other. So you have the benefit of a centralized big entity, but you have also got the benefit of data protection, keeping your preference to yourself and not passing it to other businesses. So
Hmm.
I think that's quite a strong point, and that's where we're going at the moment.
Gotcha. That makes more sense. So like the agent side of it, that's kind of like your own personal Siri or Alexa, I guess.
Yeah, but just to kind of bring attention to this. So if you
Hmm.
say Siri or Alexa, I mean Siri or Alexa is very limited in what they do. So if you said, "Go Siri, go and find me a hotel," right? What Siri does, it goes to the website, goes to the maps, just lists all the hotels. What
Hmm.
it doesn't do is actually go and query the hotel and actually say, "I want to negotiate on your behalf, and I'm going to find you the right hotel, and I'm going to book you the right hotel." That Siri can't do. Alexa can't do that. So, but having said that, the interface is there. It's responding to you, but it's dumb. It's not intelligent. It's not got the right connectivity. So what we're doing is, your Siri, should it be able to do all of those things, like actually book the hotel, actually book a parking for you. I mean, we've actually got running active trials in Munich at the moment,
Hmm.
where your agents are finding you parking spaces, they're paying for it, they're booking it, they're reserving it, which is exactly the point. So you can ask Siri, Siri, book me a parking place in XYZ building. It can't do that. Why?
Gotcha.
Because it has to go back to the web 2.0. It has to go back to the website and then say, okay, here's the website. You can do it yourself. But or you can go into 10 other apps and try and book it separately. But what your agent does is it says, you want a parking, you don't have to go anywhere. I'm going to get you a parking. I'm going to negotiate it. If you're happy with the price, I'm going to book it. So the
Mhm.
whole mechanism is frictionless.
That's interesting. Is it a slower process having, your personal agent and going directly to the source or to directly to a number of sources to, let's say, fetch the best price or the best quality of something or the best um, estimated time until something arrives versus going through an aggregator?
Well, it's as good as an aggregator, because what does an aggregator do? You have to go to a site to book something. So you have to
Hmm.
physically sit there and book it,
Right.
right? Now, is it more efficient? Probably, because it's centralized. Is it limited? Yes, because the agents are not limited. The aggregator has 10 hotels. What about the 20 other hotels? But with the agent, you can
Mm.
actually go to all of them at the same time
Okay.
and query everybody at the same time. There is no complex integration. So a hotel can set up an agent in 10 minutes. So if you think about, let's say, Airbnb, you have a room, you wanna rent your room, you
Sure.
go to Airbnb, you set it up. You can do the same with the agent. In 5 minutes, you can actually set it up, and it finds you the room. Instead, you get the full amount rather than pay the 10-15% cut. And the
Oh,
consumer can find you. It doesn't have to go through an aggregator to find you.
mhm. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. So these agents, you said that they can, potentially, or they do talk to each other as well to share information. Is that something that would ever be of concern, that maybe they're learning too much or sharing too much, or not really?
No, because they belong to you. So they do not share your data. They sit with you. So when you
Mhm.
go to Amazon, when you go to hotels.com, when you go to Google, all that data is getting collected. In our case, that data is not getting collected. Your agent is collecting it for you. So
Right.
it improves its own service. It can learn from other agents, but that's not with your data as such. They're training a collective model, which is a better model. Everybody uses that model. But your data does not leave you, it stays with you.
Okay. So when one agent communicates with another agent, it doesn't share your data unless you give it that
No,
permission to.
absolutely.
Okay. Gotcha.
You,
Gotcha.
you can say, book me a hotel in this location for this price. It will go and query those people with or other agents with that information, but it will not exchange your data.
Okay. Makes sense. I saw you guys also have a token too, the FET token, FET token. What do you guys call it?
Yeah, yeah,
FET.
that's the Fed token. That's the fuel for the Fetch network on which these agents are going to be running. So if you want to deploy an agent, it will cost you Fed.
Okay.
If you want to run an agent, it will cost you Fed. If you want to do a search and discovery, it will cost you Fed. So it's a utility token which you need if you want to set up agents, if you want to run agents, and if you want to do search and discovery, or you want to do a task, you want to train it, all of that.
How do you buy FET? Do you just go to an exchange or do you do it through
Yeah, I mean,
Fetch.ai?
yeah, there is plenty of exchanges. We're listed on most of them. I mean, Binance being the biggest one. There is other exchanges like Bitfinex or tens of others, second tier exchanges. So we're listed on all of them. You can just buy from there. You can buy from the website. You can buy from Uniswap. I mean, there's plenty of places to buy the Fed token. It's
Gotcha.
readily available.
It sounds like you guys can touch a lot of industries. Everything from delivery and travel to DeFi potentially in finance, and then supply chains, and I think the list probably goes on and on. So it's got to be very exciting for you guys to see all the things that you can change with this.
Yeah. We built that in mind. What is very exciting now is that all of that is coming out. So we're now
Mhm.
releasing the actual commercial products. So we've been building the agent framework where all of this will run. We're building the network which we need for these agents to work on. So now we are at a stage where we actually deploying solutions on top of it, which is quite exciting because you will start seeing agents in the real world. At the moment, you don't see, agents doing tasks for you. We're one of the first ones you're going to see that with. So
Mhm.
you can actually today book a hotel with a fetch agent.
Really?
We've released the
Okay.
code, we've released the software, and you can actually go in and you can ask your agent to book a hotel for you. And the hotel agent, your agent will go and negotiate the price for you, and you can see the negotiation, and you can see how it negotiates, and actually book it for you. So you can do that. So we have an end-to-end system which is now ready to be deployed in the market. And don't forget, because of this whole COVID scenario, uh, the hoteliers are looking for a cheaper, better, direct solution. They
Mhm.
don't like going through the OTAs, uh, the online travel agents.
Right.
So they want a direct connection with their consumer. They want to save, uh, you know, that extra 15%. They might pass it to the consumer because they want to encourage them. So it's a great time to be here, and it's a great time to be reducing cost and reducing the friction that exists at the moment.
Yeah. So
And
like if
what happens generally, people don't change unless something big happens and you're actually forced to change. And
right.
that big thing is this whole COVID scenario. It's actually forcing people to rethink the models.
Right, right. So if I wanted to book or source out a hotel in like Bogota and I wanted to use an agent, so do I just go to a certain place on the website to begin that process, or what's the process to get
Uh,
started doing that?
well, today you won't be able to do it because we're not
Okay.
out in the market fully. But we do have a model agent you can download and you can run it. So you
Mhm.
will just take. So ultimately, what would happen is you'll be able to just download a app, or you can go on a website. You can say, I want to build an agent. Now that agent belongs to you, and you can book a hotel through it once, 10 times, whatever, and you can run it. And you can actually say, I want to book a hotel in Bogota. These are my conditions. And it will go and query the databases. It will also go and query, hopefully, when we actually get some traction in the sector, all hotels will also have their agents. And the best thing is, you don't need to change your system. You actually just integrate it within your current system, and you just deploy the agent in like 20 minutes, half an hour, and now you have an agent which is actively selling and buying on your behalf, which is which is what you will see very soon, and you'll be able to just download an app and book it.
Man, I guess everyone will have an agent. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, and multiple agents, because you might say, okay, I mean, I want to keep them separate. It's like having separate emails, right? So,
Sure.
or separate web pages. You can actually have one agent where you have skills. You can add skills. So if you want the agent to negotiate or haggle, then you give it the negotiation skill. If you
Mhm.
don't, then whatever price you get, you pay. Then that's it. Or you can actually trade the agent. You can actually say, by saying, okay, I don't like this, I do like this, you can actually trade it. So we're hoping it will be something you carry all the time with you, and you'll be training it, and it will be effectively your butler, which can find you
Mhm.
things, which can do things for you.
Cool. Yeah, I can't wait to have one and then just, teach it all kinds of stuff that maybe I shouldn't teach it. It'd be fun to play with that.
Well, I think that's as you can see, that's coming very soon.
Absolutely. What's your guys' roadmap look like for, the rest of 2021 in terms of continuing to build this out or continuing to find more use cases or what's on your guys' horizon?
Yeah, so again, we started commercialization, starting finding commercial partners. So this year, you'll see a lot of commercial partnerships coming along. You'll see a
Mhm.
lot of commercialization of the technology in different sectors. Our objective is not to go in a particular sector ourselves, but to find partnerships in those sectors. Our skill set and our project is mainly to build the agent system, is to build the fetch system. And then we'll partner with other partners in different sectors, in different verticals to deliver it. And that's how we intend to commercialize the whole thing. And 2021 is definitely, COVID permitting,
Sure.
definitely um, a year for commercialization and commercial solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine there's a lot of solutions for this too, given COVID. Even though we're slowly coming out of it, I mean, it's got to be really helpful for a lot of these businesses trying to find a different avenue to navigate this, whole pandemic situation.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's a good opportunity to change the status quo, because
Mhm.
we're getting too relaxed with the old technology. And as we have seen, I mean, communication, as I said, communication, connectivity is the key here. I mean, again, Zoom, or, we are speaking now where we would have
Mhm.
not managed to, different model, social media, different model. And it's all about connectivity. And what we're bringing is another way of connectivity for commercial reasons.
Right. I think it's the right time for stuff like this too, because people just seem so tired and fed up with how overly centralized, today's modern systems are and all the problems and issues that has brought in baggage. So I imagine it'll do very well and imagine you guys get a lot of inquiries.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, we're seeing a lot of interest right now, because of the demand itself, and the solution is quite unique. So we're,
Gotcha.
we're only one commercial agent based system in currently, I would go so far to say, in the world, which is public rather than private, and somebody is not. I mean, you can never say these days, right?
Right.
Plenty of stealth projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you guys at online? I know you guys have your website, but like other than that, are you guys on social media, YouTube, Medium, or where do you guys put out the most
We,
info?
we, yeah, we're on all those channels. So you can go, if you want to connect, you can go to the website. You can find our Twitter channel, Telegram channel, Discord channel. We have Medium. You have LinkedIn channels. So whichever channel you prefer, we're on. So
You guys are
it would be
everywhere.
great. Yeah, we have to be, right?
Right.
These days, connectivity is the key.
Exactly. Absolutely. Awesome. Humayun, thanks for taking the time to come on the podcast. Really appreciate it. I think we'll wrap it up here because we covered quite a lot anyways. Want to make sure we retain everyone's attention too.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, thanks for coming
Past
on.
half an hour.
Oh yeah, just it's a good time. Just past half an hour, I think is right amount of time. Um, but yeah, thanks for coming on talking about Fetch.ai, from the AI side, crypto side, or blockchain side, and how these pieces all fit together and what these agents are, and like how it works and everything. It's really interesting. Really excited to hopefully get my hands on one at some point. So Definitely
Very
keep us
soon.
all updated.
Thank you, Brennan. It was a pleasure. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. Great. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I guess enjoy your lockdown in UK.
You too. Take care.